Okay, let's get going. That video was from, those images were from Tom Vogel. I just put them together. Today we have Harrison McLean, who became famous for being arrested for incitement. So I've been looking forward to having a chat with you. We have the incredibly handsome Joshua Rosick. I actually didn't know you had a surname, Joshua. I just knew you was Josh. And we have the leader, the Che Guevara.
Not leader.
Abby, not leader, just Che Guevara. And we're supposed to have a psychic woman on who's going to come and tell
Lizzy
everybody
Rose.
off, but she's hasn't turned up.
It's unfortunate.
Before we start, Josh, we got you on limited time. So do you want to just plug your big march coming up on the 20th? And I've got the posters here for it.
Big march on the 20th.
Yeah, so the big march on the 20th is the Worldwide Rally for Freedom, which is implemented by Melbourne Freedom Rally.
Is it there?
And did you have the post of that one?
So is it starting at Parliament House and marching to
It's starting at Parliament House, that's correct, yeah. So we're starting at Parliament House, marching to Flagstaff, and then marching around the city after that. That's right, yep.
All right. And there's Worldwide Freedom Rally, and that's it should be everywhere. It should be a really, really big one. Yeah.
We're hoping to increase the crowd size over the last one. So the prior event, Rise Up Melbourne, on the, if I recall correctly, the 13th of November, was probably one of the largest rallies that Melbourne's ever had in history. People have seen the crowd sizes from the Vietnam War protests, and it looks bigger than that. We've seen some fantastic drone shots.
So what's the figure, Harrison?
Drone.
What sort of figure are people putting on it? Yeah.
We're looking upwards of 100,000 for this Saturday, and there was approximately 100,000 last Saturday. So we're looking to pump those numbers to something in the vicinity of 150 to 200,000 would be, I think, a good target.
Yeah. Are you concerned if Dan gets his bill passed that he might enact it straight away to try and cut it down? That'd be
very interesting if that happens. So in order to get this bill passed, he's got to get it through Parliament first. So for those of you who are unaware, we've got some Occupy Spring Street protests at Parliament House right now that are sticking against this bill 24/7. There have been people staying there overnight. I myself did a 26-hour stint there yesterday, and my voice is the result of that. So we had hundreds of people there over the course of the last few days. So Victoria Freedom Movement's done a fantastic job with Occupy Spring Street. Absolute credit to the team at VFM. And we've been helping to bring people there as well to take a stand against this incredibly dangerous and totalitarian pandemic bill. For those of you who aren't aware what it does four main things. It allows Daniel Andrews to unilaterally declare a pandemic, to have pandemic orders issued that have up to 2 years jail or $90,000 fines, to make pandemic orders that discriminate against protected characteristics like race, religion, political belief, attendance at events, or vaccination status. And it allows those pandemic orders to last for 3 months at a time. They can be renewed for 3-month intervals, and there's no overall time limit. So there's a whole kitchen sink of bad stuff in that.
Don't forget the detainment laws.
And the detainment laws. So there's
detainment without a trial.
Detainment without a trial. That's even worse.
Unbelievable.
So,
without habeas corpus, which is the foundation of Western democracy, habeas corpus. You can't just, it's not just a footnote, a side note in history. It's an absolutely fundamental principle. And that's the right to appear before a judge and be charged with something and to be determined whether it's a lawful detainment or not. And it's gone. It's gone.
The Green Party in her speech just glibly mentioned it. I mean, this is just, you're living in an insane world where, I was listening to the politicians last night. Anyway, before I want to move just quickly, Harrison, I really wanted to talk to you about your incitement charge. Because could you tell us a little bit about that?
So in September of this year, so a few weeks ago now, I was arrested at my house by some police officers and charged with incitement of breaching show directions. So this is a charge that has been leveled against the likes of Monica Smith, Fanos, several others in the movement, Topher Field, and now myself. So this is a charge that has the chilling effect of the bail conditions that require you to follow Cho directions and to avoid encouraging others to breach any Cho directions. Otherwise, there's the threat of breaching the bail conditions and being returned to jail until more bail conditions can be made. So that was a charge that was leveled against me that I'm going to be having a case for in April of next year. So that's a factor at the moment. But now that there's no Cho directions regarding lockdowns or distance restrictions or reasons to leave the home at the moment, this event is presently not in breach of Cho directions. At least that's to the best of my understanding. So all the events done recently have been facilitated by Victoria Police. So they've changed their tune in line with the legislative change from the Cho direction side of things. And we're seeing that these events are getting bigger and bigger now that they're every week. So VFM's been doing events every week to try and build momentum in the movement. And it's really been a catalyzing factor to the growth that we're seeing, that people are able to join a rally every week. So we're getting lots of new people on board, lots of people that are speaking out against this bill, lots of people that are coming from all sorts of new industries that begin vaccine mandates, people in construction, musicians, hospitality workers, teachers, nurses, lawyers, definitely lawyers as well. Every kind of profession is now joining the freedom movement. We've got people from every background, every ethnicity, every religion, every color, creed, political affiliation, joining the freedom movement now.
Nazis, a lot of them.
Pardon?
Yeah, Nazis, a lot of them.
Even some select National Socialists have joined Telegram groups and made their voices heard. So obviously,
I mean, technically, we'd still be in breach, wouldn't we, Harrison? Technically, we'd still be in breach of Cho directions because I know there's not too many masks at these gatherings, and I can't see too many people observing the 1.5 meter radius. Yeah,
to the best of my knowledge, the mask requirement has also been lifted, so that's also not an active Cho direction. So don't quote me on it. I think it's been removed. I don't really
even in such large groups of people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been removed. I'll have to check if it has definitely been removed, but that's my understanding that part has been reduced. In terms of this Saturday, we're looking to bump the numbers up quite a bit. So this one is the Worldwide Rally for Freedom. It's going to be on the 20th of September, so that's this Saturday coming up, starting 12 p.m. at Parliament House.
Around the world, right?
And the difference between this event and some of the other events that have happened in recent weeks in Melbourne is that this event is coordinated around the world. So in over 50 different countries and over 150 cities, the US, Canada, England, France, the Netherlands, Spain, France, Italy, all throughout Europe. We've even got a Hong Kong location now. So even Hong Kong has joined. Japan, New Zealand, every country unifies together with the Worldwide Rally for Freedom once every 2 months. So there's obviously the scope for lots of groups to do smaller events locally here in Melbourne on a time frame that's much more regular than once every 2 months. And I absolutely commend those who do those regular local events. The focus that I do is a unified international event once every 2 months. And the reason for that is to send a global unified message in support of 5 freedoms. So those are freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of assembly, freedom of health, and freedom of choice. And people can learn more about this event at worldwidedemonstration.com. That's worldwidedemonstration.com. That's the international website for this event that sort of started it in March of this year. And I've been working with that team to deploy this event throughout Australia for the last several months. So it's great to see that this event is getting major traction around Australia now. We've got locations in Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Hobart. We've even got a Warrnambool location. Warrnambool is joining this round of the rally, number 5. This is the 5th one we've done. We've got 13 Australian locations, and we also get lots of little satellite towns that aren't necessarily officially listed on the poster, but like to get the ball rolling in their towns by doing an event in support of it in their own town on the same day. So we absolutely encourage that. Do not ask for anyone's permission to start your own Worldwide Rally for Freedom location. Please, if you'd like to start one, just go ahead and do it. in Australia. It's a fantastic idea if you're in a small town, if you're in even a mid-sized town that doesn't have a location. The best way to become an official location is to just start it. You could make a poster in your town, your city, spread it around, and then get in contact with the team at Worldwide Demonstration to get it listed in an official poster. So there's two kinds of posters with Worldwide Demonstration. There is the official international poster that is listed on the Worldwide Demonstration's Telegram channel. What that means is that location and that event and that team is officially recognized by the international group at Worldwide Demonstration. There is also satellite locations or unofficial locations that are on the same day at the same time, and they're not necessarily officially affiliated, but the fastest way to become officially affiliated is to start and then ask for permission later. So there's plenty of options with that. All the officially affiliated locations can be found on our national poster at australiafreedomrally.com. That's australiafreedomrally.com.
Could you type that into the comments, Harrison? And
I could probably do that.
The comments. I haven't even been doing the comments. If I'm just going through. Speaking before of neo-Nazis, Joshua, how are you going? There's welcome to the show.
Wow.
And I have to say to both of you, Abby and Joshua, congratulations to all your team for getting such enormous numbers. It's been a heartbreaking not to be there myself, but it's been amazing to watch it. And I wonder how you felt when you saw those numbers on that day. That's a question.
Thrilled. Thrilled. And I've got the same issue today as Harrison has with his voice, so bear with me.
Shouting a little bit too much at the big old building.
A bit too much screaming out there, yeah. But it's because, everyone's doing the same thing. We're all passionate. We've all lost our voices. We're all tired as anything out there on the steps. But to be honest, when you see those numbers, especially from, an elevated position, if you get a chance to be on the truck, or if you're on the bottom of the street looking up the street with all the flags flying and all of that, it's absolutely thrilling. And it just gets you so excited, as a lot of people would attest to.
What did you do? What did you do before this, Joshua? Before you became this,
I'm a chef by trade, so.
Are you a chef?
I'm a chef, so I can whip up a storm. I did my training in Switzerland. I was there for 5 years. Yeah.
So when you get in the COVID camp, you want to work in the kitchen, mate. Apparently in the COVID camp, like the kitchen is a really sought after position, because you get access to the knives, you know what I mean? So it gives you a certain amount of power. You can pick the best food for yourself before you, feed the others. So just quietly, mate, you and I can come to an arrangement.
I've been watching a bit of Prison Break, yeah. I've been watching a bit of Prison Break, and it seems like the kitchen's the way to be.
Yeah, you're young enough to try and get out. Michael and I are just going to be stuck
have a menu. You can do the menu, porridge, and porridge.
Stew, lots of stews.
Now, can we talk, Abby? There was a woman supposed to come on today, and she hasn't shown up. And she wanted to talk about the what happened with the speeches. Now, can you inform the community what happened with the council and the march?
Yes. I guess just to explain, from last week, it was advised by the police to think of a different location, just because Parliament really isn't the easiest place to have such high numbers. And then the previous week, we obviously had the sun was out and it was a lot hotter. So it wasn't the best place in terms of shade, and it wasn't comfortable. So we changed the location to Birarang Ma, if I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I haven't. So that's where that's where it was supposed to be. We had it arranged with the police and with the council. We had the approval from the council, which is what we needed, because in order to actually access where we needed to be and to set up the stage, Josh, I don't know if you can confirm this, but I believe we had to have things, like bollards or removed to get in there. But we had, there was a team set up, starting to set up, and it was early hours of the morning. From what I remember, it was as early as 6 o'clock. So it was all ready to go. And then at the last minute in the morning, the police had approached the people that were setting up the stage and the sound system, which was a massive stage. It would have been fantastic. The speakers were adequate for the size that we had. And the police had approached and said that, the council's changed their mind, and we have to close it. We have to shut it down.
Abby, did they give you the grounds? Did they give you the grounds on which the council changed their minds?
Nope, they just changed their mind.
Just flippantly changed their mind. There was no reason given why they would have changed their mind.
Yeah, no.
So I think it was because it was looking more like an event than a protest. A protest would look like a march through the streets, megaphones, some sort of sound equipment if necessary, but it's never had to look this, we had to put a lot into it. The sound system would have been amazing. There were 4 3-meter speaker towers that had to be mounted on 1-ton concrete blocks. And to get these out there, they needed a mini crane to do the job, to get it off the back of the truck. So I think they had something like 3 trucks down there. And my friend towed in the generator, which had to be towed by a ute as well. It was like a trailer generator, 100 kVA. So it was really like a music festival sized speaker system for an outdoor rave or outdoor, music festival. And it would have catered to the numbers that we had down there. And one thing that we told the council when they said, no, this is too big, we told them, what if something happens? What if we need to get an ambulance into the crowd and we can't address the crowd? So for us, it was about being able to get a message out to the crowd, and not only to the first 1/4 of the crowd, but to the entire crowd. So if something had happened in the crowd and we needed to move the people to get, an ambulance in or something, then that was our main issue, for it to be publicly safe for people to be there, and for us to be able to
public liability issue, was it? Right. Okay.
Mm.
And how often were you interacting with the council? Like daily?
Well, constantly. It was a back and forth every day in setting it up, because just the bureaucracy of it. They need to accept and check everything, and it was constant. It was nonstop. There was many hours of work went into doing that.
And then they basically betrayed you, shafted you in the morning.
Well, it was funny because the bullets had been taken down. The trucks came in at 5:30, and the bullets had been taken down. So obviously someone we were working with in the council had set it up ready to go. But then later in the morning, like Abby said, the stage was 1 hour from completion. They had already worked an hour and a half in setting it up. So it was almost finished. And a lot of people.
So people were already being paid at taxpayers' expense then. So someone was getting paid to set that up through the council. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have been asking, how come you didn't just, go against them and set it up regardless? And what I say to that, from anyone that saw what was happening, is we only had the stage setup guys down there. These are companies that are setting up sound systems for us. It's not 20,000, 30,000 people that will say no to, not consent. It wasn't about, consent or allowing them to drive us away. It was the fact that our team of sound system guys, the guys setting it up, didn't have the numbers to say no to the cops. They literally drove them on. They had no chance to set it up and go against the authority of the council and the authority of the cops. There were few in numbers down there. I think 6 or 7 guys. So we literally couldn't do it.
So you think that so the lesson learned from this is basically you can't trust the council.
That and have a backup plan. But I mean, with a back.
Sorry,
the ABC was a backup plan.
ABC office.
What's interesting though is, and I want to say this, and if this woman had come on, I was going to say it to her. You guys have been basically learning on the job with this, volunteering, doing it on the job. You've never done this before, Joshua. I don't believe that you've been setting up big protests around the world before, have you? No. And so and I know Abby has, and I've talked to Abby. So you're learning on the job, and you've level this amount of numbers turning up. So you're doing an amazing job. And learning on the job means this. And the lesson here is learning, okay, you need a backup plan because it all comes down to politics. And obviously the council is a Labor council, and maybe someone in the Labor politician who doesn't like protesters said, push, shut them down, Yeah.
I think, can I just add to that? I mean, like you say, this isn't something that we've done before. We are just everyday Australians. We had another plan for this year as well. This absolutely wasn't a part of it. We're not trained for this sort of thing. And the movement came about because there was that need to give a platform to people who have lost their voice, which is the large majority, and to unite people again. So that was, the reason why it started. I guess at no point do you imagine that it will get to numbers like this. So it's incredible that it has. But yeah, we're not professionals at this. And like I did put a call out, for people to help, and we are happy. We welcome people that can help, particularly with resources. We need resources so we can save on money, and we can have these great backup plans that would also ensure that we have the correct sound system and that sort of thing. So,
what sort of resources you have?
Sorry?
What sort of resources are you after?
Just anything that might be useful on the day. Sound systems are great, stages, trucks, tents, things like that. So we do put the call out, and some people are off for that, but we might have something covered. So please don't think that if you've offered and we haven't taken you up on that offer, it's just because we've covered that particular area. It's not because your offer wasn't appreciated or valued. It was just because we might have had that offer, we've already covered that area. So, but we do welcome people. We need people that have these resources, and these calls have gone out. They did go out during the week for things that we needed. So we're trying our best with what we've got.
Can I just first off, Phil Judd has just asked about the cartoon that's out. Phil, I've just put it on the Cafe Locked Out main page. You can
great cartoon.
Feel free. Yeah, it's the one behind
great
me.
Work by Mark Knight there. I'll just remind you guys that I've got another Zoom meeting in about 5 minutes.
Thanks, Harrison. Thanks for coming on. I just wanted to plug your show. I'd like you to get you on again to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it after.
Definitely come on for a long form thing.
Yeah,
Harrison, I reckon maybe tomorrow, mate, a little bit of sunscreen and a hat,
good.
buddy, because
yeah,
a little bit rhubarb there.
I was not.
Josh is looking great. He's loving the tan. He's taking it well. But us with more Celtic sort of skin.
Yeah, wasn't intending for it to be that hot. There was a lot of cloud cover, so it must have got through the clouds somehow. So yeah, definitely sunscreen next time I do a 26-hour stint. 26-hour stint in front of the Parliament House does not yield good results with no sunscreen. So we might have to start reminding people of that, including myself. Anyway, so I've got a Zoom meeting coming up. It's actually a public national Zoom meeting for the Australia Freedom Rally community. So if you're an event organizer that is going to be doing an event for the Worldwide Rally for Freedom, or you want to be one in the future, or you're a regular event attendee, or someone that's got a project that is valuable to the freedom movement that you want to get in touch with the community at Australia Freedom Rally. That's the network of Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Byron Bay Freedom Rally Telegram groups. We're doing our first ever national public Zoom for anyone to join, and that's starting in about 3 minutes. So I'll have to pop on and have that. And
no one in this audience, mind you. No one in this audience.
Not from this audience. Not from this audience.
Stop cannibalising our audience, Harrison.
Definitely stay with this one if you're watching this show. But AustraliaFreedomRally.com/Zoom, and I'll be on tomorrow to do a more full length kind of thing.
Yeah, congratulations, Harrison. I hope you.
Great, mate.
Terrific, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
Really do.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Mate.
See ya.
Thanks.
See you later, guys.
Harrison.
Thanks.
Have you guys actually considered? And I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but have you considered, since you've got such a huge audience now, of actually putting other stages around the city? So, like, there's a bunch of people at Parliament House, but maybe further down Burke Road, there's another place where people can congregate, somewhere in the mall or something. So like a speaker can actually do a speech here and then go around and do a speech somewhere else. Has that come up?
Not something we've discussed. I mean, it's definitely something we could. I guess then you sort of lose that picture of exactly how many are there, and I think that's what excites a lot of people, is just seeing that crowd in such high numbers. I think that is really encouraging to people. So if we do that could possibly be lost. So
Abby, you know how you're liaising with the police, though. So what happens now? So the police is saying the Parliament is not appropriate, the crowds are too big. But so what happens now? The Birrarung Mar's fallen through, so you can't trust that anymore. So what's that conversation going to be like now with the police liaison officer?
I mean, that didn't come from the police, and the conversations I've had with police afterwards, I think they're in agreement that wasn't the best situation, and it certainly wasn't helpful for them. Having people,
no, that's what I'm thinking.
Spread out throughout the streets, having to close roads, that's not helpful to them. So I don't think they were in support of what the council did, and shame on the council, really. I mean, they're just showing their side. And to me, they didn't seem to be concerned about the safety of the citizens. It comes from taxpayers, and I think they need to wake up and realise that they serve us, not the other way around. And
that's the big argument at the moment. That's the battle trying to
I know, but it's not the place for the council. It's not the place for the council to choose a political side. That was completely inappropriate, and their conduct was not acceptable, and they put people at risk. And to me, that's disgusting. And they have lost
money.
Trust.
Spending public money
trust.
And then pulling out at the last minute. So there's just all this public money around that anyone just throws at anything. Go for it. Public money. Have as much as you like.
Yeah,
it's insane.
But they need to realise, as a consequence of that, they've lost trust, and losing trust is so damaging at a time like this, when people are already hurt, they're already scared, they're already confused. So we've just had to now add, another group of people that are, I guess, that we're up against, and shame on them, really.
Can I ask, how many groups are there you know, of these, like you're in the one group together, you two, I believe. And every now and again, I have this little group sending me texts, and I'm never sure who it is. They never announce to say who they are. But how many little groups are there? I know they had the woman that set up was a protest on the steps about a week ago, where they had Crystal speaking, and some young woman was running that one. So that's one group. But
Emily?
is it what? Yeah, I don't know her name. Is there's so is there a few, like 4 or 5 groups, or?
I
Quite a few,
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look, it raises the point that anyone can do it. You know, anyone can do this. It doesn't. Clearly, we don't have previous skills. You know, anyone can do this. So if you see a need, go for it. And what we are trying to do is to support each other. With the Melbourne Freedom Rally, we want to promote that. And we'd be happy to promote anything else that is, you know, that in any way is fighting this cause. So we're happy to support that. And I think it's beneficial for other groups to unite and support each other. And you do learn things over this time. You learn things, you know, that there's skills that you sort of pick up along the way, and it's worth passing on. So, but anyone can do it. So.
Have you had those discussions, like with the different groups? Because the thing is, people really become committed to the cause. So it's more than just a hobby. It's actually, it becomes like a purpose in life. So it's a different form of ego. You know what I mean? You see it. A perfect example is not only you two, but I see Travis. You know, I know he's had a troubled upbringing, but he's really in his element at the moment. You know what I mean? And I saw him getting interviewed by Channel 9 today. He's getting better and better at what he's doing, and he's finding a niche in life. So I can see that when that truck was there and you got all these different people on the truck, a lot of people are feeling that they've earned the right to be on that truck, even though, unfortunately, from practical terms, that's not possible, because you just can't have everybody on that tiny little truck. There's
is it being hijacked by? Sorry, Michael. I was just thinking about political opportunism. Like, there's a lot of people now that are running, obviously, for political parties and stuff, and it's a great platform for them to reach people. Is that something that is of any concern to you guys?
I think just before we move on to that, because you've raised two points there, in terms of what's happening within this movement, you know, it's really important to recognize that people are putting in their time. You know, they've lost jobs. They're committing, you know, full time what they're doing. You know, they've found a way to support it, whatever it be, in whatever way. They found, you know, the way that they want to support the cause, and they're doing that with such commitment. And it's hard work. It's exhausting. No one's getting paid for it. And with that, I think comes high emotions as well. But you know, my thing would be to remind everyone that we are all here because of this one cause, and that's what our focus needs to be. And I guess to try and not get caught up in that idea of, you know, well, I've been here for so long, or I've been arrested so many times, or I've got fines, you know, that are totally in this amount. We're all here, and everybody is contributing something, even those that are not necessarily participating. We need an audience, you know, we need people to hear this and to spread the message. So we're all paying our part, and it's valuable. And you know, unfortunately, I think with that, I guess, you know, they're fighting for what they're doing. You know, if it's that they are doing live streams, they're passionate about that. and they want to, you know, fight for that right to be able to do that. And I understand that. But, you know, as organisers, we've also had to consider a lot of things within that. So it's not that we're overlooking what anyone's doing. We absolutely acknowledge that and appreciate it. It's just there's a lot of things that we need to consider.
And do you have the fear too, especially with these laws coming in of detainment? Because, I mean, you guys, this is literally now, and I can't believe we're saying this in Australia, but you literally could be on the list to be detained, you know, for a couple of years without trial, which is unbelievable. But that's it, you know. That's it. And I know we joke about it at the camp. I haven't been there for the whole week, but I know it's this continual joke about who gets the top bunk and all these other things. But underneath the joke, there is this reality that this megalomaniac right here in this tank is being given the power to do that. You know, does that play on your minds at all?
I gotta say straight up, not one little bit.
Really?
Not one
Okay.
little bit. Ultimately, for me, and I gotta
That's all right.
glorify God in this. My trust and my faith is in God, and like some people have said over the past weeks, God is the ultimate authority. Jesus he sits above all, above Daniel Andrews, above Scott Morrison. Their time is going to be short-lived, like anything else in this world. Their reign will come to an end, and you know Jesus has already won on the cross. So whatever happens with this and with my life, it doesn't really matter. Even if I don't live to see Jesus glorified and Jesus come down and take us, I believe that my life is in His hands, and they can't do anything to take that away from me.
Good answer. Wow. That's the answer of a warrior, because they can't actually they can't break you now, no matter what they do. Yeah.
That's why they hate Christianity so much too, isn't it? Because it gives you such strength and fortitude to be able to stand up against it. That's why they want to crush it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another bill this week going through Parliament, and it is to allow so in Christian schools to make sure Christians can't, or Christian schools can't deny employees the job because of their religion. So they can't anymore say no to a teacher because of the fact that they're not religious, or because they're not Christian. So you could be an atheist teaching your Christian child. I mean,
the hypocrisy is extraordinary too, isn't it? When you consider they're passing legislation that means you can't work there if you're unvaccinated. As a matter of fact, they're going to a point where you actually probably can't even be a student there if you're unvaccinated. But everything else is absolute liberalism to the zenith. I mean, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary times. It's just the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Can we? Sorry, I just wanted to go back to. So Damien was asking about the political side of things.
Yeah, I was interested in that.
Yeah, so I think there's been a lot of questions behind. I get some people have wondered if we're connected to a political party, or if we're influenced in any way, and the answer is no. We have, we're all individuals, and we all have our own sort of, we're going to have our own opinion on what's best, and they vary within our group. So, and there's been people that have they've been activists, and they've shown more interest on the political side of things, but it's certainly not how you know, it doesn't influence how we organise the day. But what we do recognise is that if this issue has become political. It absolutely shouldn't be, but it's a political issue, and there's a large number of people that do want to hear from politicians. So, and then you've got a huge number of people that don't and think that they've got no right really on the stage. So, and the thing is, we have to, we don't want to show any bias to who's on the stage. We want people that can represent the different groups out there that are either impacted by what's happening or has some sort of solution or answer to this. And within that, there's many people. I mean, a lot of people have come, you know, and they wholeheartedly believe that they have the answer to fight this, you know, that they're certain on how we can overcome this issue. And we have
There's
to
a lot of that,
respect
isn't there? Yeah.
There's a lot of that, and we respect that, but you know, it's a balancing act, and we have to work out, you know, okay, this week, you know, we've heard from the people and the people want more of this or they want more of that. So and just so you're aware, within the Telegram group, a lot of polls go out. We put a lot of polls out because we want this to be a movement for the people and by the people. So our people have the opportunity to vote on what we're doing. So you know, if you want a voice and you've got strong feelings about what we're doing, please join up and have your say. So
do you think there's a political solution? Abby, do you think there could be a political solution?
The fact of the matter is, it might not be long term a political solution, but right now, with the bill going through Parliament, it's all about getting those, you know, on the opposition to vote no, and getting those that are in government to cross the floor. And that's what we're fighting for. That's why we have the numbers down there, and no other reason. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to go organize a protest that is all about, that is purely about the sovereignty of the people and the power of the people, you know, feel free to organize a protest like that, and I'll come, and then we'll talk about that and only that. But right now, the fact of the matter is, there are hundreds, or there's 100,000 people out there, and probably many hundred thousands more out there that are wanting to stand up to the government right now, the government passing this law. And we need those in politics to say a stern no to that law. And that's what we're trying to do. So sabotaging the movement, or sabotaging the speakers and saying no politicians at all, is not the solution for this crowd. That is not what this crowd is there for.
Yeah.
You see,
and
Adam Sonurek
my...
I was just thinking on that point, Adam Sonurek's given his papers about his vaccination status, I would imagine, so he can enter the upper house, which he hasn't been in for quite some time, and he's able to vote. And he's obviously someone that's come out very much against the party that he did belong to, which is the Labor Party. So is that's some cause for optimism amongst the group?
Yeah, very much so.
I don't believe anything.
I like a one-word answer.
Sorry, go on, Abby.
I just said I don't believe anything until it happens. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Abby. I'm just, it's like sitting there like this for so long, and it's, but I really admire you guys. Even watching the marches and seeing everyone that I know, it's amazing how many loyal people are turning up, and they're all very different, they're all very varied. Can you do a call out to people who turn up on the day, we do have another big march, of actually maybe telling them to get, if they want to speak or they want to perform, of actually getting in touch with you much sooner, rather than turning up at the truck and then suddenly demanding the right to speak, like an open mic at a poetry night?
Yeah, there's been a bit of that.
It's hard, and I think people have seen that at Parliament, so perhaps they believe that we can allow for that and be flexible with that. And there is one idea that I did think about next time is maybe actually in our schedule allowing for other people that might come up. Like, an opportunity was missed on Saturday to hear from a couple of people that I think in hindsight we probably should have, but we really encourage, if you've got a message or if you're doing something and you feel like the people need to hear that, you need to reach us, reach out. Other people have, I know it could be tricky, but please reach out to us so we can factor that in, and we can work that out. Because on the day, you would not believe the amount of people that will come up to the stage and ask, can I say this? Can I say that? I'm this person. Please, can I say that? It's overwhelming, and we have a job to do on that day, and we need to stay focused. And to alter that schedule is very hard. And we're also trying to consider what everybody's opinion is on how long the speakers should go for, how many speakers we should have, how much marching we should have, how much we shouldn't have. We're trying to consider that there's different ages that are at these protests, and they've got different needs that need to be met as well. There is a huge amount of things that we are trying our very best to consider, but adding to that pressure, by not coming to us earlier and having expectations on the day just doesn't help us, and it makes things just that little bit harder.
Like the ABC. Hey, Abby. No, so we shouldn't do in jokes. It's not right. But no, today there was a guy there on the steps, and he was getting quite animated. I think you were there, Abby, when that was happening. Got very upset. He took his shirt off. He's a doctor. He's lost his job. Very aggressively gesticulating towards the police. There was a bollard there. They never were in any danger. He didn't actually cross that line, but he was very, very angry. A lot of other people came up to him, calmed him down, told him this was not the way to proceed. This is really bad. It reflected poorly on the movement, etc. But then I had a chat with him and another guy that was actually saying that he should calm down, because I was just uncertain which is the best way to proceed, because I can really understand that man's frustration spilling over. And then we're constantly told by Daniel Andrews that we're angry and we're extremists and stuff. Well, mate, you've taken our right away to work. You've taken our right away to go to hospital and get medical care. It looks like you're going to take away our right to even collect an unemployment benefit when we can't work in any reasonable capacity otherwise. At what point is it reasonable to get really angry?
I guess what I would encourage people to do is to consider how their actions impact the larger movement, and how much your actions may divert, I guess, our message. We have a message we want to get across. And, for example, I don't know if you heard about what they were discussing and debating in Parliament today, but like stupid stuff came up about things that have been happening on the steps. Someone went past with the noose and that sort of stuff. Look, I get it. I get it. I completely do. But it takes the message away. It threatens what we're doing, even though, rightfully so, people are angry, and they need to get that out. But my thing would be just, we're doing this for our kids. It's not about our anger and frustration now. It's about our children and our future. And anything that threatens that and harms that, I just really would encourage people to just try and try and avoid that, because we really need our message to be clear. And mainstream media have lied enough, and they will use anything that they can. Even if we're on our best behavior, they could twist the truth. But to be honest, lately, I was incredibly surprised at how they reported on Saturday. you know, a lot of those reports were reasonably fair. Now, if we're at a point where they're thinking about, you know, doing that, we need to welcome that and open that, you know, open ourselves up to accepting that there might be a change, because if we don't, then it's never going to happen.
So you've seen professional camera crews like from Channel 7 I saw yesterday were chased away. I saw footage of them being chased away from the steps of Parliament, and today I saw Channel 9 treated in a similar fashion, and they had to retreat as well.
Yeah.
I watched Channel 9 today. Some woman, blonde woman, going around interviewing people. She did it yesterday.
Yes, she was. Yeah,
she did it today. I just want to show you this quickly. I'm just going to show you this. This is Zoom footage. This is drone footage of the march. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't understand, Joshua, why your little mobile speaker can't be heard way down the back of the other end. You know, maybe you got to get a new app or something on it.
Speak louder, mate. Speak louder.
Just speak louder. That's incredible, and that's only that way. It actually went out this way too. I mean, it's I got sent that recently. I mean, it's just staggering, and they're all there wanting freedom, trying to hold on to democracy. And you fire them up, because I've seen you guys at marches and at events or on the Parliament steps where there's like 20, 30 people or less, you know? So hats off to you. Hats off.
Abby, could I go back to just what we were talking about before? Like, because that thing, like you talk about the guy that turned up the other night, and I was there with the, you know, a mock gallows on the back of his ute. Now, there's a good chance that guy is from Antifa, or from the people that are actually against us, because they know how to use propaganda. Antifa, you know, so people that are against our movement want to cast us as, you know, extremist neo-Nazis, what they call us all the time, you know, and because that's just a classic out of Saul Alinsky's book, which is Rules for Radicals. So it's 12 rules for radicals, and he teaches how to undermine the other person's cause. And it's basically you turn up in a hood from the Ku Klux Klan, because straight away the media are there to go, well, look at these guys. There's the hood and the Ku Klux Klan. But it might not have been you guys at all. It might have been a bad faith actor. And that makes it so difficult in the propaganda war, isn't it? And it's difficult too when you have to tie your hands behind your back in the straitjacket of nice, when you're being shot at some points in this movement by rubber bullets with a 3% chance of actually having a fatality from it. So it's a conundrum.
Absolutely it is. And you do touch on a really, you know, that is absolutely true. I mean, we had a perfect example of that last night, where we had a girl dancing, you know, in the circle with everybody else, and she'd been doing it for a while, and she was holding a sign up with really the text, the writing was really thin, so it's quite hard to make out. But she had been there for a while, and it turned out that she was actually, you know, complaining that we're too loud, and she wasn't for our movement. And I think she eventually decided, okay, now's my moment, and stood up on a case. But look, you could get people like that. I mean, yeah, who knows? The world's crazy at the moment. So
I'm not anti-Trump at all, but the media looks for that Trump flag, and someone turns up with this Trump flag that goes way above the crowd and everything. They're all flowing. It's a great-looking thing, but I often think that's there just set up so the media can go, look, here they are, you know?
Because
there's
possibly, but it does show, though.
Who are just basically literally hate Trump so much that they can't even rationally think if they see a Trump sign.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It does highlight, though, how many people, how many views there are within this movement. You know, we all have our own beliefs, we all have our own backgrounds, we all have our own answers to this, and you know, we're not necessarily politically aligned. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are within this movement. So,
Well, that's it. Apart from that, the only other thing I've got is just yeah, it's just my hats off to you. This other woman obviously got scared off. I really admire you guys for coming on. I think you need to be applauded. I think history will look favourably upon you, even if we all vanish into the camps. There's and it's interesting. Did you ever see that you guys would be here 2 years ago? Well, like when you were chefing, wherever you were chefing. And Abby, I think you were in school, weren't you? You were a teacher in school. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you ever honestly think here you'd be at the forefront of this movement for trying to defend the democracy of your country?
Josh?
No, never in my wildest dreams. But the fact of the matter is, like, you know, I mean, I started doing this. My first day protesting was the shrine, the most recent shrine, the last shrine we did.
That was your first protest?
That was my first protest in this movement. Yeah. Not my first protest ever. I've been to other protests. But for this movement, the whole COVID and lockdown
Baptism
protest,
of fire, quite ironically.
Sorry?
A baptism of fire, quite ironically, at the shrine.
Yeah. That was
Were
the
you
first
astounded
one.
by the shrine?
Sorry?
Were you astounded by the shrine? By what
Well,
happened?
I came on scene, and you know, this was when the police were all around the front, and it looked like I mean, the back was open. They were letting us go, like they were letting us you know, leave peacefully. People didn't want to leave, and I just walked through the crowd, and I thought, this is so disorganized, as in the people are not united in this. There was no, I mean, you couldn't really. I understand why there wasn't any way of organizing speakers and things like we did on Saturday, but it was just like, okay, and I felt really, you know, I felt like I needed to do something, so I started running around and looking for people that looked like they were in charge, and started getting numbers and contacts, and that's how I got here to doing what I'm doing. But the fact of it was there was no like there was something there was like a call for someone to do something at that point. For someone to keep pushing, and everyone was burnt out. Everyone had been shot at. Everyone had gotten their incitement charge thrown at them, and I was there, like, you know, fresh as. I was like, let's do this. Something needs to be done.
Were you
And that's
shot
why
at yourself?
No, I left. I was like, it is not worth pushing this, you know, pushing this anymore. Like, if they're telling us to leave, or they will start, you know, forcefully making us leave, it's like, I'm a sensible person. I'll leave and come back tomorrow. And that's literally what I did. I came back the next day.
Unlike the group I was hanging around with then.
Well,
one guy in particular said, this is the hill we're going to die on.
Every time I got up, he said, sit down.
A lot of people went out and they burnt themselves out because, I mean, they pushed because that was all they knew how to do. Well, they thought that was the solution, to push, but then they didn't come back the next week. You know, that was it for them. Whereas I think the people that more did it in a strategic kind of way came back the next week, and again and again. And I'm not saying there's no one that was then there back here again. There are many of them, but I think we just need to do it differently for a little bit, and take into consideration everything. Yeah.
Did you two know each other before?
For everybody, I mean, no, Australians hadn't seen that. That was one of the. I mean, they'd been shot at recently. You know, that whole period from being shot at in the city, which was one of the marches before, to the bridge, where there was also some interaction with Port Police then. But the shrine was something we hadn't seen. I mean, basically, it was a free Australia, the Australia we grew up, sitting on the steps watching a new world order going, we're here, and we're going to try and crush you. That's what that's what was happening at the shrine. We're here. We're going to invade this symbol of freedom, and we're going to roll right over the top of you. And we're Australians, even though we're dressed like stormtroopers. That was what happened at the shrine. And people go, "Oh, you disgrace, what is it? You're disgraced, or you
desecrated.
You desecrated the shrine." The desecration was done by the stormtroopers charging up, firing at people, just basically defending freedom. And that's hopefully somewhere in history that'll be remembered. And that's why I think the police took so long to do it, because they realized they couldn't, in their own souls, they couldn't wire it in a way which made them look like the good guys. It was, and you see that in Joel Gilmore's footage, if you go find it, where they're running away and they're just pouring over this black mass looking like an invading army, just shooting Aussies in shirts and T-shirts, and still the Aussies are standing there yelling freedom, freedom. That's what it was. It was a moral victory for the people that were there, but it was a physical victory for the police. Yeah. Anyway, look, we're going to wrap it up. Go on.
I just wanted to know, I'm just asking if you two knew each other before this happened, or this has thrust you together? Because that's what I'm seeing. A lot of people like Michael and I didn't know each other, so we've sort of been thrust together because of the situation and the circumstance. Is that something similar for you two?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'll tell you. I'll talk to you later.
I'm joking. He's all right. Yeah, that's true. We didn't know each other beforehand. But also, I keep hearing about a lot of people that have reconnected that were friends, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and they've reconnected through this. So it's amazing. It really is. Can I just touch on just a couple of things?
Sure.
One would be, if anybody is feeling hurt or disappointed or overlooked from anything that happens through our events, I would just really encourage people to speak directly to us, and so we can find a solution. What concerns me is, there were a lot of opinions afterwards, and unfortunately we heard mostly about them from posts that were obviously public. And my concern with that is, we're fighting against division and segregation. And, the last thing we want to see is that happening within our movement. So I would just really encourage anybody that if they are feeling hurt, or, they've got something that they want to say or get off their chest, or they want to, just please come directly to us, so we can work it out, because we really are, we're just about sharing it, passing on love and concern and consideration, amongst this movement. We want it to be a positive place. And that's really what we're about. And, we'd never want to be in a position where anybody's feeling like they've lost their voice from us, or they're not represented. So that's certainly not what we're trying to do. The other thing is, I just really think it's important to acknowledge just the amount of people that are coming from, it's traveling hours away. You've got people that are getting in buses and organising groups of people, and they're coming in, from towns way out. And I just really, I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for every person that is coming. And I didn't answer that question. I wanted Josh to answer what it was like to see the crowd in that numbers. But my main thing that I would say is, I am just incredibly grateful that people are making that effort to come out, because it is an effort. And you've got family, you've got children down there, you've got people of all ages. I'm sure this is not what we want to be doing. We've got better things to be doing. So I'm incredibly grateful that we are seeing these numbers, and that people are stepping out to, speak about what's happening, because it takes great courage to do that.
So Abby, this weekend,
if you want to speak, if you
We
want
go
to
to the ABC.
speak, if you want to speak, I suggest you come down to the steps now. It's
Absolutely.
Aiken for speakers. Yep.
It's a great time.
Speak. I've been watching it live, and I can't get back there until next Wednesday. So, and I'm just going to say out now that I've had the COVID, I've had the big C, and it's nothing. It's a cold. And literally, when I used to work in restaurants, Josh, and I used to go to the restaurants full of Codral with colds far worse than what I've had. So any great fear of this illness, it's not that frightening.
It's the long COVID, Michael. It's the long COVID that's going to get you, mate. Yeah.
Well, I got the camp to wear that.
You'll give it to all of us. A bloody long COVID.
Nothing else to do except moan about the long COVID. But I recommend you come down and meet them, meet these lovely people, feel their energy, come down and speak. I know they put in bollards and they poured water all over the steps last night to annoy people this morning. And but still, I see you guys are there, so you're pretty tough. Okay, so
and we will continue.
Well done, guys.
We'll continue to try and make sure that these are peaceful events too. So please, we will continue as long as we can. We'll continue, and if this bill goes through, we're going to keep on fighting. So you're not going to see the end of it if this bill goes through. So stick with us.
Josh, do you want to? This is your first time on. Would you like to finish? It's up to you. You can say a prayer. You can do whatever you want. I know you're a religious person. It's up to you. Or if you have anything you'd like to say to the public before we go, floor is yours.
I'm going to say you made me do it. I'm going to say a prayer.
There you go.
I'm also going to say thank you. Yeah, thank you to everyone that's been out there. Thank you to other people just working their asses off, like you, Michael, and you, Damien, doing things like this. I know it's very time consuming. There's Travis, he's out there right now. I think he's been out there like longer than I was out there. He's still going. He's a champion. Everyone loves Travis. Just everyone that's put their blood, sweat, and tears into this, I think. And to finish it off, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father, for blessing each one of us with freedom and with courageous hearts and strength. Lord, I pray that you would give the people of Australia your spirit, and I pray that you would pour out on them a blessing and a filling up of strength and courage for the coming months and days, weeks, and months ahead. Lord, I pray that you would be with your people and that you would bring us back to knowing you through these hard times, that you would turn our hearts towards you and that we would return to you and repent of our ways and seek you to guide us through this, because you're the only one that can win in the end. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'm going to start with what I finished with. This video, there was Tom Vogel took this of this young boy, and it's Abby. You can hear in the background. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week if you're not in the camp, or I'll pop in and bring you some donuts.
It won't be finished yet, unless they fly him up to Queensland. That one's ready to go.
All right. Okay, see you guys.
See you.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.